So, here we go. Okay. So as soon as the clerk come back, we get started. Oh. Yep. The time is now 12:15, and the special city council meeting is now being called to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. L. Alleman is not in. Ms. Lewis?
Present.
Mr. Murphy?
Present.
Ms. Priestley?
Present.
Ms. Winfrey Carter is not in. Ms. Burns?
Present.
Ms. Mashat?
Present.
Mr. Pfeiffer is not in. Mr. Jarrett? Present. You have 6 members present.
We have 6 members present. So now it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Burns, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now it's time for the prayer or the blessing. Do we have anyone that would like to acknowledge someone that has transitioned? Anyone would like to acknowledge anyone that has transitioned? Seeing that there's no one, I would like to honor Miss Linda Williams, Miss Linda J. Williams. And so with that being said, we will have a moment of silence. All right. So now it's time for the prayer or the blessing. And we're going to ask the councilman in the 9th Ward if he'll lead the prayer.
And after this wise, he blessed them. Lord, bless us and keep us. Make your face to shine upon us, we ask. Lord, you would ask that you would lift your countenance upon us and grant us peace. Lord, in that, we will be blessed. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. So now it's time to read the reading of the disorderly person city code subsection. Any person that persists in disrupting this meeting will be in violation of Flint City Code Section 3110, disorderly conduct, assault and battery, and disorderly persons, and will be subject to arrest for a misdemeanor. Any person who prevents the peaceful and orderly conduct of any meeting will be given 1 warning. If they persist in disrupting the meeting, that individual will be subject to arrest. Violators shall be removed from meetings. So next we have public comment. Madam Clerk, first public speaker, please.
The first speaker is Melissa Zaremski.
Hi, my name is Melissa Zaramsky. I live in the First Ward. You know, I've been dealing with a lot of things, and apparently someone told me I have white privilege, but I don't. My son has been literally beaten by 3 people, still haven't gotten no justice. Police haven't done anything in that. You know, I asked for help for him because he has mental and behavioral issues. Oh, yep, still no help. But that's all I'm going to say on that for right now, because when I watched last week's city council meeting, oh boy, was I pissed off because of the fact that, you know, Liddell Lewis, you get police rides to and from council meetings on us residents' money, okay? That needs to get paid back. I'm not playing. You lied about being threatened and everything else. You need to pay the money back. You need to start using your own damn vehicle and do yourself, okay? Besides, you gotta get off that seat. Because I'd say go back to Maryland, but apparently Maryland don't want you back neither. You know, Quincy, you always talk and say you're gonna do stuff and you're not gonna vote, but then you turn around and do it. Again, you bring your balls up here and then it's like, boop, you drop them. Come on, man. Do the residents right of this city. Stop being, you know, Mr. I want, what is it that you called? A lobbyist. You know, that's not cool. The Flint residents don't need to be having their bills hiked up and everything else to pay for your guys' bullshit. Right. And Judy, you got a new kitchen. Eva, hell, she got a new bathroom. She put that right up on Facebook. So I'm wondering why Ashley Capital never even sat there and mentioned y'all's names, but they only mentioned those 2. I mean, when you do wrong, guess what? God's gonna come get you, and then you're gonna pay for it. And when you look at yourself in an orange jumpsuit, you're gonna be like, how the hell did I get here? Because I don't know, I don't understand. You all talk about God, but you don't live by God. You disgrace. Seriously, get all your shit together. And you really, I am praying that Neely also sits in orange jumpsuits with y'all as well. So thanks.
Next speaker.
The next speaker is Rich Jones.
Oh, y'all lucky I got a bad knee. How y'all doing today? I'm glad y'all scheduled this special meeting and Quincy and Liddell is here because I didn't get a chance to address y'all after the last meeting. Quincy, you are very good at diverting from the subject. Wasn't nobody talking about coming over your house for no powwow or setting up nothing. I was talking about the federal knocking on your door, serving you a subpoena. That's what I was saying by always be able to open your door. Don't have nobody knocking on your door and you're hiding through your Ring doorbell. That's all I was talking about. I wasn't talking about anything other than that, nothing threatening. And if you're gonna pull your gun out on the federal agent because he run your doorbell too bad, gotta pray for you even more. So that's what I was saying when I was referring to that. It wasn't nothing personal, wasn't nothing like that. And so far, y'all just on the county and the state radar. Stay off the federal radar. That's my advice to y'all. I asked you nicely, I tried to tell you before you had all of the pastors behind you lying about being called a monkey. Stay off Facebook. Still ain't listening. Still ain't listening. All the evidence is right there, all on camera, all on tape. It's just a matter of time before the right person decide to look at it and ask y'all a couple of questions. That's all. Time heals all wounds, and everybody has their day. So y'all just be prepared if y'all going to continue this. And y'all lucky that Mr. Jarrett and Ms. Burns got a hold of y'all press conference, because y'all wouldn't even have 5 people if they wasn't here. So be thankful and don't look like that budget gonna pass. If it's balanced, I don't mind it getting 5 votes, but if it's a negative general fund, then it don't deserve 5 votes. It deserves some reconsiderations and some amendments that should have been made as of March the 1st. Thank you.
Next public speaker.
The next speaker is Kawana Mack.
Hello. Now, I know we had the weekend, and I see y'all trying to pass this resolution 240218 about the street light maintenance fee. Miss Judy and everyone else on the board knew the numbers wasn't right. Y'all still went home and just copied it and stapled it together, and today trying to run it through. You know what? I'm just gonna sit back and see what's what. But I want to say this: bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Nobody gonna give you no break. Hey, policemen say no way, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Next speaker.
The next speaker is Claire McClinton.
Good afternoon, Council. And since this is a special meeting for the budget, you know, they say people can look at your budget and tell what kind of moral standards that you have by how you spend money, how you spend the people's money. And we can look at that budget and see what degree the people is included in that budget. Can anybody spare $16 million for home repair and rehabilitation out of $94 million? And another thing, we notice you pass a budget to give small businesses some ARPA money. That's a good thing. But the other part of it is that the money will be distributed in-house. You won't be hiring a third party to distribute the small business loans or grants or whatever they are to help small business. Again, that's a good thing. But the point of it is that you can do in-house on home repair and rehabilitation. You do not have to send home repair to third parties, what you have been doing. You showed you can be done because you're doing it with small business. That's right. And the other thing is, we still don't have an answer about the 109 homes that we believe was illegally sold to a Florida investment firm without notification to this city about those foreclosures. Can we get an answer on that, Attorney Kim? Because we need to be going to court challenging the county treasurer instead of trying to kick people out their seats. So again, we're gonna be anxious to watch this budget. How much will the people benefit from it? It is a financial document, but it's also a moral document. It tells where your hearts are and what your moral values are. Thank you.
Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Ms. E. Taylor.
So it is with huge disappointment that I stand here today with the press in the back. I think that's another definition of low moral values for this council. And thank you for bringing that point forward, Ms. McClinton. So we have pledges, we have prayers, and we have police removal of community. Why? Why is the chair chauffeured wrongfully to the council when we know that the complaint was not true? Why is the chair fighting, not in her seat? That's a very, very immoral picture of economic development. Who wants to come to Flint if the chair is fighting? Unless you're willing to give them $72 million. Right. And I'll name Ashley Capital. And that's a very bad picture. That's a low moral picture for economic development. You're giving them $72 million. Since we're here talking about the budget that's unbalanced throughout this administration, Mayor Weaver left a fully balanced budget, and what has this administration done but fully and repeatedly, immorally kept it unbalanced? Why would you, as a chair and the finance person who says nobody likes her, secretly call a budget meeting on a Monday at 12 o'clock? Don't want nobody here. Put the press in the back. Immoral again. I don't know, I like silence at council, you know, that's one of the things I may help some people not fight at the council. Sit in the wrong chair at the council, cause derision in the community. Congratulations, Ms. Burns, on your court decision, too. That was good for all of us. Congratulations, Mr. Jarrett, for being here and keeping us focused on the numbers. We really appreciate that. And again, for the press that's in the back, the mayor says community's at the top. The mayor's organizational chart, the community's at the top. But I don't see that. I don't feel that. I've been escorted out by the police because the chair doesn't like my hair. Wow. Elameen's not here. Had secret ARPA meetings, Elameen attended.
Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
The last speaker is Beverly Biggs Levy.
Takeover by the state due to finances. This year, the mayor says the budget for 2024 provides equal balance when it comes to things like property taxes and keeping fees and utility costs unchanged.
So we broke. Our city is broke.
This will be my fourth opportunity to deliver a balanced budget to the city of Flint.
Mayor.
Flint is broke.
Flint back in debt years after city leaders said it wouldn't happen again.
More than a decade after the state of Michigan took over the city of Flint due to financial debt, the city of Flint is facing the same financial problems. The state of Michigan took over the city of Flint's finances in December 2011 when then Governor Rick Snyder, a Republican, appointed an emergency manager. The state took over because Flint was in a financial mess with an underfunded system and debt-ridden budgets. Flint experienced a consistent deficit in the general fund as well as other budget issues and unfunded liabilities in the pension system. In June 2009, the city's pension system was funded at 68%. City leaders said in 2015 that the city was unlikely to repeat its financial blunders. But Flint has one of the lowest funded pension systems in the state, and its general fund was in deficit last year with annual deficits projected through 2025. The city had a balanced budget in 2015. A 2015 state report said that the City of Flint Receivership Transition Advisory Board and City Council members told state investigators that the conditions that led to the financial emergency are not likely to be repeated. But 8 years later, the city is back in financial stress. The state bailed out Flint's pension system in July of this year, $175 million payment via the state budget. Flint is also hoping for another $50 million from a state program that pays cities with stressed pensions. City reports say the city pension system is paying out almost $50 million a year to retirees. At the same time, employee and city contributions are only providing about $35 million to the pension system a year. The accounting firm hired by the city in 2022 called it massive leaks in the pension system. The city had a general fund deficit of $3.8 million in 2021-22 and is projecting the deficit to grow to $14.3 million in 2022-23 with more $1 million deficits.
Well, y'all can listen to that at another time, but this is my thing. All these 501c3s that have got this money, bring it back. Bring it back to the city and let the city take care of what needs to be taken care of. You guys have got all this money and haven't did a damn thing with it. And you wonder why we cuss and we frustrated because y'all look up here like you don't even give a damn. Liddell, you look like you don't care because you got what you want to get. You in the 7th Ward, I got mine, you got yours. Y'all need y'all ass whooped.
So just for clarification, Madam Clerk, is that the last speaker?
Yes, that was the last speaker.
All right, so now it's time for council response. Anyone would like to respond to the public?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Burns?
Thank you, and thank you to all of the people who showed up at 12 o'clock. This was a meeting we found out after we crashed, I guess, a press conference. We were not asked if this was an appropriate time, so therefore we do have colleagues which are missing. And Beverly Biggs, that is one of the reasons why with this budget, we did not have the correct figures. Number one, when we look at our general fund, we look at our expenditures and what we take in. You know, we did not have the grants budget. We didn't have a grants budget. You know, how are we making up this difference? Our streetlight assessment, according to this agenda, we still don't have the correct figures. The solid waste, are we taking the $2 million from the ARPA, or are we doing the figure that's inside of this packet states 202.56, but the figure was 216 and 236. We need one solid figure. The DDA bailout for $560,000. They took it off to where we couldn't even ask them what are their objectives, what are they doing? Why are you not balancing your budget when we have to continuously bail them out? The city pension, which was funded last year at 26%, and then when we got the $170 million, there was another $50 million we were supposed to get, we did not get. Retirees, once they work here, they should expect to get their retirement check, period. What is our pension funded at? We don't know. Administrative consent order, we don't know about the administrative consent order. How are we paying for all those projects? We don't know. That was one of the issues that Congressman Kildee was speaking of. The state of Michigan just took over our service line replacements because we did not finish our service line replacements. We didn't have enough money, but the city of Flint did not go back to ask for more money. The last time we had a takeover by the state was because the governor said the city of Flint, that the mayor and the city council lacked the will to lead, and the state took us over. These are too many questions for us to be passing the budget. In this packet, these figures are still incorrect today that you have also. That's all I have to say.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Priestley?
I find that my kitchen is of so much interest to the residents of this town. Working three jobs, saving for 3 years. Oh, gee, that means I took money from Ashley Capital.
Please hold, please stop her time. What we won't do is yell out. So if you would want to yell out, you can do it from the courtesy of your own home. This is a professional legislative body, and we will not yell out.
As I said.
No, please hold, Ms. Priestley, we're not getting started yet. It sounds like someone else wants to yell out, and I want to address you before we go forward. All right, it is the duty of this body to bring members of the audience to order. We can't have a productive meeting with audience members being out of order. So please, colleagues, let's make sure that we do not have yelling out in the audience, and it's our job to bring them to order. Proceed, Ms. Priestley.
Thank you. It's just assumed that I took money from Ashland Capital. There's no proof. It's just somebody saying, oh, Judy got a kitchen. Yes, I did. Oh, Judy got a nice big stove. No, I didn't. You know nothing. You've not been to my house. You don't know my income tax, nor will you. I have also been accused of other things. I passed an FBI thorough background check 3 years ago. Get over yourselves.
Anyone else would like to speak during council comment?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you to all the speakers who spoke. I listened to each individual who spoke. Here's the problem that I have. When the last speaker got up and spoke and said we all need our ass whooped, those kind of comments is disheartening, coming from a person of a particular age, and to come here and talk to our colleagues and say some of us need, I'm not sure what outcome, if somebody put their hands on me personally, what might happen, but I would hate to see someone swing on me personally, because I'm here to do a job as an elected official, not here for controversial issues. I'm not here to fight nobody. But if someone ever decide that they want to put their hands on me or swing on me, I will defend myself by all means necessary. And it is good that we do have the police officers here just in case we need them to escort.
Please pause this time. Again, we're calling the audience to order. Don't cover your face and be disorderly. We need for you to, if you're going to speak out, do it. This is your warning. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I don't mind discussing policies, issues, and resolutions that's on the agenda, but when you come and you make threatening remarks like that right there, that's taking us in a whole nother different direction. And all I'm saying is I don't mind having any kind of discussion with anybody when it comes down to policy and all of that stuff. But as far as all that physical, what we need and what y'all think y'all might want to do or whatever, I'm just saying, please, by all means necessary, let's keep peace as much as we can. Because if somebody put their hands or swing, it is not going to be a good day for City Council.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Anyone? Go ahead, Mr. Jarrett.
I want to first thank those of you who came out today. It means something to me personally to have you here and show the support in whichever way you show it, as these are your chambers. I'm not gonna belabor the point. We have work to do. I wore comfortable shoes, and you see I don't have on a jacket. because if I have to roll up my sleeves, that's what we're gonna do. You all enjoy the meeting. And if I may ask that you support us in getting the work done by not doing the things that we know create the distractions for us. If you will give us this meeting, because what I want to see us be able to do going forward as a council is our part to both get the job done and to work in a civil fashion, not just amongst the 9 of us, but in collaboration with you, the residents. So I'm gonna make a personal plea. If with and for the support you have shown me, I can ask of you to show in this meeting a courtesy to me. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing that there is no one else, thank you, colleague in the 9th Ward, because if they're not listening to the rest of the body, if they're listening to you, we'll take whatever we can get. But it's very unfortunate that we have grown people that can't conduct themselves and maintain themselves in a civilized fashion, because that's what grown people are supposed to do. Nevertheless, hearing that a grown woman that just went through a violent encounter, wishing violence upon other people, is definitely not what we should be doing in these chambers. So we ask for people, let's not speak violence and bring violence to the chamber and towards the colleagues. This is not what we do, and this is not what people should do. This is why we have police escorts, because when people say that someone should get their ass whooped, that's a threat. And as elected officials, none of us, all 9 of us, don't deserve to be threatened. Ma'am, that's your warning. That's cool, okay, as long as you know. So as you heard, I deserve to be threatened. Well, as I continue to get threatened, I will continue to receive my police escort, because clearly it's validated that my safety is on the line. So as we continue to laugh, that's fine, but just know we will have order in these chambers. Threats will not be taken lightly. Threats will not be taken lightly. Do not think just because people are elected that we are the target for violence. Don't find out the hard way that that's not so. So I'm looking forward to getting this budget passed, getting questions answered, so we can go forward and do something positive. Let's take all the negative energy and do something positive in your ward. I challenge you. So with that being said, we're on to reconsiderations.
Madam Chair.
Larissa Jones, that's your warning. Thank you. So go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider 240222.
There's a motion to reconsider Resolution 240222. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by the councilman in the 3rd Ward. Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Mashat.
So we are here to try and pass a balanced budget for 2025. If this does not happen today, we will be in violation of the charter. Not only that, but I understand and I heard that there are some concerns that my colleagues have. We've had some amount of time to read this budget over and make amendments and make adjustments as we see fit. So I'm hoping today that all of my colleagues are here prepared to offer amendments to this budget so that we can get this budget passed. I know that I've been told that in past council, the budget has not been passed on time. I'm hoping that we can all come together today and get this budget passed on time. So if there are any amendments that colleagues have to offer, please, let's not waste or belabor any time or dishonor the charter, and let's go ahead and offer those amendments and get this budget passed, because it's not like it's written in stone or you have to vote on it as is. In the last council meeting, Councilwoman Priestley was the only person to offer an actual amendment to the budget. I have heard plenty of people that are here today that have some criticisms of the budget. I'm hoping that they've offered those critiques and suggested amendments that they have to the budget to some of my colleagues that are sitting up here, so that they can offer those amendments on behalf of those with the critiques of the budget. Bottom line, and I know that I'm being repetitive, I'm simply being repetitive for the simple fact that we don't have to belabor this. We can go ahead and make amendments today for wherever we find the issues, and this budget can be passed on time per our charter. We all discussed the charter quite a bit, so let's make sure that we are following and staying in line with the charter. We all say that everything stops at city council. City council have the purse strings, so then fine. Today we have an opportunity to prove that. We have an opportunity to make amendments to the things that we do not like, so we do not have to belabor this or be beyond this. My colleague made a comment that he is ready to sit here and really get this work done and take as long as it needs to take. I too am ready to sit here and get this work done and take as long as it needs to take. So let's do the work, stay in line with the charter, and get a balanced budget passed for the residents today. We don't need a halt in services, any interruptions. We don't need to be media fodder for negative reasons. We can all come together and do this today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Anyone else would like to speak?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Burns?
Thank you. Through you to Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, could you please come to the podium, lectern, whatever it is you want to call it? So before you get up here, Mr. Moore, I don't even want to hear all this follow the charter stuff. It's only when it's convenient for some of these colleagues. It's selective charter following, first of all.
Ms. Burns, Ms. Burns, please pause their time.
Excuse me,
Please pause their time.
You're not going to take my time. You're not going to take my time again.
Ms. Burns, let's not speak to the motives of colleagues. Let's speak
I didn't say anybody's name. You should have corrected him when
Ms.
he
Ms.
told
Burns,
the people
Ms. Burns, you're talking. This is not a Ms. Burns. That's going to be your warning if you proceed.
I'm fine with a warning, Liddell Lewis.
That's fine, Tanya Burns. So let's be in order. So again,
this is ridiculous.
Point of order.
Go ahead.
For both my colleague in the 6th and 2nd Ward, neither of you are to be referring to each other as anything other than your council seat.
Okay, anyways.
So thank you so much, Ms. Machette. So, and that is the rules which we will respect. Again, let's not speak to colleagues' motives, and let's stick exclusively to the budget agenda. Thank you. Proceed with our time.
And I'm going to say what I want to say because I have freedom of speech, period. And it is selective following of the charter. I didn't state anyone's specific name. I could have been saying specifically to myself, but I wasn't. So you don't know who I was speaking to. So stop that. You need to stop. Now, what you should have did was corrected Councilman Murphy when he said, you heard what the fuck I said. Now, I know you heard that when he said that, because I did. So, Mr. Moore, when I am looking at the expenditures and what we take in, we did not get the grants budget. How much do we take in? I don't have my laptop here with me. How much do we take in a year?
In terms of grants? I'm working
Revenue.
on that budget. I'll be having that to the council before the week's out.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you, sir.
I have not prepared it yet.
Okay. The street light assessment was off. Did we get a number for the street light assessment?
I have a sheet for that.
Okay. Can you tell me the number, or can you tell me the number, because, thank you. What on here is the number? Okay. My other question is the solid waste. In our packet, it states 20256. You and I have had this conversation before. There's an either or. We gave a no bid contract to Priority Waste. And the no bid contract, well, first we need to balance the trash for the waste fund for the next 2 years, which we need to take $2 million from ARPA funds, or to either, in the packet it says 20256, but then when Councilman Priestley stated that it needed, I believe, 236 or 216. Do we have the figure if we were to do a special tax assessment? Do you have that figure or that amount?
The number's going to be higher than that. I have not calculated that, no.
I'm sorry.
I believe the number, I have not calculated that, but from what I can see, it's going to be higher than that,
than the
Council
20256?
Pardon?
It'll be higher than the 20256
Yeah,
per
yes.
household? Okay, so we don't have that number yet. The city pension fund, what are we currently funded at?
For this year, we'll be sending approximately $20 million to the pension system.
So how much is our payment? Is that,
The minimum amount that we have to pay is around $15 million.
around 15 million? And we're funded at what percent?
As we speak, it's approximately 60%. I don't have the exact numbers since I don't have that from MERS yet, but it's going to be around 60%.
Did we ever get the money? I know with the pension we were supposed to get was like an extra 250 or 300,000.
We received $170 million in August, and then we received about $2.6 million that arrived in end of March, I believe.
Okay, so we never got the 50 million that we were supposed to get.
No.
Okay. Do we know why we didn't get that 50 million?
I've never had a good answer for that.
You never had a good answer for that? Okay. I know our service line replacement is being taken over the state of, I don't even know what that looks like with them taking that over and what company, because it seems like Detroit has taken every one that does service line replacements and they're putting them to work. They're doing 250 service line replacements a year. So with the state taking that over, because that would have had to have been paid out of our general fund, because our wind funds are, I believe we have 1.5 million that the state of Michigan gave us for that, and we don't have the amount of money to take care of that. How much will water bills be increased? Because I believe that was a part of our administrative consent order. I'm gonna have to wait till my second round.
Okay, Mr. Murphy.
I wasn't ready.
Oh,
yet, but
I'm
if
sorry.
it's another colleague.
Not a problem. Anyone else would like to speak in the first round? Ms. Priestley.
Yes, through you to Mr. Kim, what are the ramifications if we don't pass the budget?
First, as I stated last week, the charter requires that a budget be passed by the first Monday in June, and so this would be the first Monday in June. In addition to that, not passing a budget potentially puts the city in a position where it would have to shut down by the end of June. Under state law, that's the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act. The city is basically prohibited from spending money unless it's been appropriated properly, except in certain circumstances. So absent a budget that has been approved by council and properly enacted, the city loses the ability to spend funds except in certain emergency circumstances, which would unfortunately, it's not as clearly defined as it is under, say, federal law. So the city would have to pretty much begin reviewing all of its operations to determine what activities would fall under that emergency exception that it could continue doing. For example, the city would still have to provide police services to its residents, but the other function, for example, the blight department would probably not fall within that emergency exception. So absent a budget being passed in a timely fashion, we would be looking at having to lay off a large number of city employees until a budget can be passed and properly enacted.
Request for information. Request for information.
Go ahead. What is your request?
Through you, Chair, to the Speaker, can you share how much of that or what of that actually took place last year when the budget wasn't passed?
So just really quick, so usually, Mr. Jarrett, when we do those requests, it's on her time, so, huh? No,
I'm the
she's the
speaker.
speaker. She's the speaker. So,
I am.
yeah,
Through-
so,
to
so,
the chair.
so if you wait for your time, or she can
No,
ask that
no,
question. That's how that works, per the rules.
Then if I could ask that of the speaker.
I would, because I was listening to it for Mr. Kim, I'm going to go ahead and wait until your time, and let him finish, and then give you your time, because then you'll have 5 minutes to ask that question. So, go ahead, Mr. Kim.
Point of order.
What is your point?
I would ask that we suspend the rules at this time.
Support.
There is a motion on the floor to suspend the rules, and supported by Ms. Burns. Suspension of the rules does not call for debate. That's a direct vote. So roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay, Mr. Alleman is not in. Ms. Lewis?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Priestley?
Never again. No.
Ms. Winfrey Carter is not in. Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat?
No.
Mr. Pfeiffer is not in. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
The vote is 3 yes, 3 no.
The vote is 2 yes, 3 no? Oh.
3 yes, 3 no.
So 2 yes, 3 no, so that motion fails.
Madam Chair,
Oh,
three
oh,
yes.
I'm sorry, 3 yes, 2 no. Go ahead, Ms. Priestley.
Go ahead, Mr. Kim.
Yes, I guess just in the interest of providing that, to answer Councilmember Jarrett's question, because it's kind of in line with what I was talking about. I believe last year the council failed to enact the budget by the first Monday, but it ultimately did enact it 3 days later on the Thursday afterwards. And so essentially the city didn't have to start putting any of those we'll just call them extreme measures because that's what they would be, into effect. But frankly, had the council waited longer than that, there's certain notifications that we have to provide to our employees under the various collective bargaining agreements. There has to be determinations made about what actually, which employees will get laid off and what services have to be, temporarily paused. That process, I believe, had already started. It was just occurring at at administrative level, and I guess thankfully that they didn't have to issue any kind of notices. But essentially, we would. My guess would be that we would have to start making those considerations almost immediately because, frankly, there's a lot of different things that the city's involved in, and we would not want to be in a situation where we're having to rush to meet whatever deadlines in our CBAs or whatever was required there.
Okay, I appreciate you answering that question for Mr. Jarrett, or excuse me, the councilperson in the Ninth Ward. I appreciate that. People had the opportunity to attend and ask these questions at the budget hearings. They weren't asked. So, it didn't happen. So, people didn't attend the budget hearings. There was at least twice that I was the only one here for the entire hearing. And there was a couple of times when somebody came in late.
Well, please hold, Ms. Priestley, stop her time. What rule has been broken, Ms. Burns?
43.21, she should not be speaking to the motives, which you wanted to correct me on. You
Okay,
need to correct her.
thank you so much.
Because she didn't attend all the hearings.
Thank you so
the last-
much. But Ms. Burns, so thank you so much. She was just speaking to people with attendance, and attendance can be counted.
That's
Roll
motive.
call,
That's
roll,
my,
go ahead, not roll
our
call, but go
intentions to
ahead.
be there.
Ms. Burns,
It's
thank
motive.
you, that's enough.
That is
The
motive.
chair have wrote it. But that's your warning.
That's two warnings.
So that's your second warning, Ms. Burns.
You're warning on everything.
That's fine. No, we were, Ms. Burns,
I
that's your
approve the
second
ruling,
warning.
Okay.
That's fine,
Chair.
that's fine.
I support.
All righty. So there has been appealing of the ruling of the chair, supported by Ms. Burns, for Ms. Burns being disorderly and being argumentative towards the chair. Proceed, Mr. Jarrett. Please hold, he get a minute. Okay.
When we consider what we won't do, we should also consider what we are doing. So the argumentative is only a statement unless it gets replied to, then it becomes an argument. So let's move this meeting along. The same plea I made to the audience.
Point of order. I want to put this on the record. The chair is mocking right now. The chair is mocking over here. Bye. This is the president of the Flint City Council. She's out of order.
Ms. Burns, you never had the floor.
I'm bringing you to order.
Ms. Burns, you never had the floor. And again, what we won't do, we won't continue to hold up the meeting and lip threats.
Can I have the floor back, please?
Go ahead. It's back to you.
So
Starts time.
Again, the same plea I made to you all, I make to us. Can we please just look at the what's before us here and put our blinders on to the other stuff?
All right, so thank you. So the reason why Ms. Burns received her second warning, because again, Ms. Burns being argumentative to the chair and she would not come to order when being brought to order. Whenever you do a point of order, you state your point, you're recognized by the chair, you state your point, and then the chair makes their ruling. You don't go back and forth and be argumentative with the chair. So therefore, Ms. Burns was being brought to order. Ms. Burns refused to stop talking to be brought to order, so Ms. Burns being asked to leave this meeting. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and call for the vote. A yes will overturn the ruling of the chair, and a no vote will support the ruling of the chair. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Murphy.
I abstain because this is ridiculous.
Ms. Priestley.
No.
Ms. Winfrey Carter's not in. Ms. Burns.
No.
Ms. Mashat.
No.
Mr. Pfeiffer's not in. Mr. Jarrett.
Yes.
Mr. Alleman is not in. Ms. Lewis.
No.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I changed mine to yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I'm going to request that the second warning be removed so that so that the councilperson in the 6th ward can, although I feel that she was out of order, I am going to ask that she be allowed to stay in this meeting to participate in the process. So I make that motion.
So no, we're in the middle of a roll call vote. So go ahead, Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry, I thought we had finished.
The vote is 2 yes,
Nothing.
3 no, 1 abstention.
The vote is 2 yes, 3 no, 1 abstention for Ms. Burns receiving her second warning for being removed from this council meeting. And Ms. Priestley, what did you say?
I would like to make a motion to allow Ms. Burns to stay in the meeting so that she can participate in this process.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to allow Ms. Burns to stay in the meeting. Is there a second?
Support.
And there's support. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Burns.
you know, you have to, I don't know if it's the trigger happy, there is no limit when you're saying a point of order. There's nothing that says your point of order has to be done in 10 seconds. It doesn't have to be done in 30 seconds. There's no time limit. But when you have a need to control, this is serious work that needs to be done here. And as Mr. Moore came to the podium lectern, he stated he still didn't have the answers. And so when we didn't have the answers, and you're speaking to the motives, if we are here, not one council member came to every single meeting. Not one council member came to every single meeting. One, they were during the day, people work. This is technically a part-time job. You should not be browbeat upside your head because you may have something else you have to do. We can go back to watch when we're at home, like I did. Any questions I have, what I do is email. I email and I call them. I call the people myself to ask,
the last meeting, I asked Mr. Moore, he was very clear, and it was in an open forum, which I like to do things in an open forum to be transparent. Did he have the answers? It is troublesome that he doesn't have the answers. I can't get those answers. Those are answers that have to come from Mr. Moore. And so when we talk about passing the budget, yes, it's important, but we have to have the answers. Those are his figures, they're not ours. He has to tell us how much do we receive in grants. We don't have that answer. Because if we look at our revenue and we look at our expenditures, how are we filling that gap? I don't even know what service line replacements look like. And I completely agree, state of Michigan should have did it, repaired them, replaced them. But how does that look? Because we were notified in the news. What is our street light assessment? That figure we don't have. Our solid waste, he just told us that figure is going to be more. Well, now we should have the figure, not a estimation, because this is budget adoption. And when you have budget adoption, you have figures that have to fit in there, and we don't have those. So I don't know how you pass one. I don't know the administrative consent order. I am so troubled by that, because that is our infrastructure. How are we going to pay for those projects? Where does that money come from? The state has said we have got to pay for those projects. Does it come out of our general fund? Are we getting grants? Right now, we don't know. But what I do know is they have found that that in their conclusion that we are responsible. We got 17 projects that we don't know how to fund. Another 5 projects that are in process of being funded at between 20% to 90%. So these are the questions when we come to budget, we have to ask this. I don't do everything behind doors. I don't do round robins. I don't do that. If I have questions, I ask them. Mr. Moore was asked this last meeting, and he still doesn't have it. So that's not a budget hearing question necessarily. It's ongoing. We still don't have it. These packets don't have the correct information. So if we don't ask them this, then who is? Because as I stated, the state of Michigan, or the governor stated before, they done took over the service line replacement. What next? They stated that the residents, or that the mayor and the city council lacked the will to lead before they took over. So basic questions: how much is the no bid contract? How much do we take $2 million from ARPA? Those are things we have to do. But the only thing that seems to be important is to throw me out this meeting. Throw me out. When you ask the questions, but we wasting money on an attorney that's $500 an hour, but so long, to make sure that we can throw council members out when we don't have the money to take care of this budget. But we're spending money on what they call silk stocking attorneys. That comes out of the budget. $500 an hour to figure out how can we throw out council members because we don't like them. It's not a like. I'm speaking to figures. I don't care about anything else with anybody. These are the figures. My questions were direct to the CFO. He should have an answer. There's no time limit to where you can say a point of order. She's rude and she likes to cut me off. She doesn't like me and I don't like her, but I like and want to take care of the business of the city. That's what I was elected to do.
All right. Anyone else who would like to speak to this motion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
Yes. I want to read for the record. It's following a request from the city of Flint. The state of Michigan today filed a motion seeking to assist the city by managing and paying for yard and road restoration at roughly 1,901 homes where lead service lines, excavation, and replacement work has been completed pursuant to the NRDC concerned pasture settlement. So I want to just put that on a record so that we could be clear that this is a collaboration effort, not something that the state of Michigan is coming to take over, because we don't want to put that out there and make people believe that this is not a collaboration effort with the state and the city of Flint working together to resolve the situation with the service lines, and because if we don't be careful, we'll put the wrong information out there, and we'll be putting false information out there. So I just wanted to read that for the record. My first question is to the financial director. Is the budget as prepared today balanced?
Yes, yes, sir.
It is balanced.
If you take revenues less expenditures plus a draw from the fund balance, yes, it's absolutely balanced.
Okay. My second question is...
Request for information.
What is your request?
Are we in the middle of a motion?
Pardon?
Are we in the middle of a motion?
Yes, we are on the motion to keep the council in the 6th ward.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh. Okay. I have no questions.
All right.
Thank you for correcting me.
All right. Anyone else would like to speak in the first round? All right. So again, this is a motion per Ms. Priestley to allow the council lady in the 6th ward to remain in the meeting. So anyone else like to speak in the first round? All right, seeing none, we will go to the second round. Anyone in the second round?
Madam Chair, I'm gonna take my time.
Go ahead, Ms. Burns.
So, you come here to do your job, which is what I do. And you can't do it because you ask the questions they don't want to hear. And it's not even amazing anymore. Like I said, the need to throw out and to use city resources to remove council people because they're not using their own resources. It's different when you use your own resources and you don't have the city. You shouldn't be using city resources to, one, make false censures or resolutions and vote on them, and then to say, because you didn't say stop, there's no time limit in a point of order. There isn't. And you should know that as the council president. There is no time when you can stop, but whenever I talk, every single time, there was one time in 2 minutes, you stopped me 9 times in 2 minutes. I don't know how you do that, but you do it every time. You do it every time. And then somehow you want to put it back on me. I'm not allowing you to do that. This budget is serious. There's some serious questions. I did not get the answers. And I don't know how we pass a budget when he's still, and how can it be balanced when Mr. Moore said he didn't have some of these figures? I don't understand that. I don't. I mean, it's.
Excuse me, please hold.
Yes, the gentleman in the front row is talking on the phone.
Yeah. Proceed. No, you can't talk on the phone. The front row will hear you. Proceed.
So this is just, we come here for budget meeting at 12 o'clock. And I don't think, well, Mr. Moore, is why I asked him to come up. A balanced budget would have the answers to the streetlight assessment. The ballots, but to pass a balanced budget would have the answer to how much solid waste the actual figure, one figure would be. There would be answers to the city pension. We would have an answer to the budget for the grants, because we do know that grants helps us to keep the city functioning. And when you don't have those, how can it be a balanced budget? That to me is that's some basic arithmetic. And I asked these questions, it's not a specific time. I asked them last week, and I didn't get the answer. And so I don't know. I don't know if we need more time to get these answers. I don't know. I don't know if, I don't know, because it's not on me. I can't get them figures from our finance department. I've asked them, and respectfully, he told us last week that he would, get back with us. But those are important things. So this is too much. This is.
Anyone else like to speak?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
So I supported this motion with Judy to keep you in the meeting, because I think it's important that you do be here with, it comes down to whether you want to approve the budget or not approve the budget. But here's the issue that I have. You throw cheap shots when you are making your interpretation of the budget far as what your colleagues.
Listen, I'm not.
Ms. Burns, you're out of order.
I'm
You,
leaving
Ms.
the
Burns, you're out of
meeting.
order. He's speaking.
I'm leaving the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. But
Yeah, I'll figure it
continue,
out.
continue, Mr. Murphy.
The number's not here.
Go proceed,
North
Mr.
Carolina
Murphy.
with my mother.
Again, you have the floor. Proceed.
So these triggers that we do with each other, in all due respect of you being the president, is not healthy for us moving this meeting forward. And like Brother Jared said in the Ninth Ward, let's focus on the business at hand. And when we go and we start going back and forth with each other, then therefore we don't be able to get the work, the real work done. So here we are going back and forth with one another and spending time on motions to keep people in the meeting versus whether we should put them out. And I supported this motion because I think it's so equally important that she be here. And Tanya do ask good questions when it comes down to the budget, and I want to hear what she has to say. But when it comes down to point of order.
And what is your point?
Someone in the audience is blurting out, talking about check Liddell, and I don't need to check Liddell. I need to focus on what I'm saying, and I can hear him.
All right, so audience member, please not blurt out check Liddell. Proceed, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you very much. So I want to hear what all my colleagues have to say, because what you guys have to say is important to me, and I'm here taking notes as y'all, just like Tanya was talking, and she was talking about the 50 million, the 1.5, and just passing the budget, the special assessment for garbage. All while she was talking, I was sitting here taking notes because it's important what she's saying. But all these cheap shots throwing at each other, with each other, is not what we are elected to do. We're here to do a job. And if we keep going back and forth with one another with these cheap shots that we throwing at each other, we will never be able to get the work done. And we did this at the last meeting that we were supposed to pass the budget. And before you know it was 10 and 11 o'clock and it was time for me to go to work, and I had been here all day. So we didn't get the budget passed. So I would like for us to be able to get this budget passed or voted up or voted down. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Seeing there's no one else, I'll go ahead and take my time. The unfortunate part is we give colleagues the opportunity to state their questions. But Mr. Murphy was correct. We cannot continue to take cheap jabs at colleagues. That energy, use it directly to ask your questions. You don't use it to check people. This is not what we're here to do. We are here to do our work. And if the colleague was focused on staying here, the cheap shots would have stopped. Being out of order would have stopped. When the chair calls you to order, just cease speaking. But we don't. We continue to go back and forth and say, I can say what I want to say. I got freedom of speech. Things like that will get you removed from the meeting. And so, it's a moot point now, so no need to even go on. So we're gonna go ahead and do this roll call to keep her in the meeting. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Priestley?
Yes.
Ms. Winfrey Carter is absent. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
No.
Mr. Pfeiffer is absent. Mr. Jarrett? Mr. Alleman is absent. Ms. Lewis?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
The vote is 2 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention.
The vote is 2 yes, 2 no, 1 abstention. The motion to allow Ms. Barnes to stay in the meeting failed. And so now we're going to go ahead and go back to where we were on the vote for reconsideration. We're in the first round. The council person, Ms. Priestley, you spoke. And so Mr. Murphy, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I wanted to also speak on the attendance of the budget hearing. The budget hearings that was set, I was up under the weather and I needed to get myself together. So there were some budget hearings that I was, point of order.
Yes.
Somebody in the audience again.
They did, and I don't know who it was. So again, we're asking for colleagues to help us bring the audience to order. Let's not yell out. Proceed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when I wasn't here, it wasn't intentionally because I didn't want to be here at the budget hearing. It was that I needed to get myself together. And I did look at the budget and I did make some recommendations. To the financial director, I know me and Jerry Winfrey Carter requested that you provide us with a dollar amount of how much it will cost for Arnold Brown to bring on additional blight workers for the blight department. Did you get those figures to us?
For additional blight workers, you're talking, if you want 2 additional blight workers, you're probably talking $150,000.
Say that one more time.
Approximately $150,000 for if you want, with all the, because you have to provide the salaries, the benefits, and then equipment for them to work.
500.
No, up for $150,000.
150,000.
Right.
To bring on how many blight workers?
For 2 additional workers.
We talked about having 2 workers per ward.
Okay. If you want, then you need to multiply that times.
We asked the question. We said how much, bring us a dollar amount,
right,
or how much it will cost for 2 workers per ward. We didn't say just 2 workers in addition.
Right.
So you only did 2 workers in addition.
That's correct. You just need to multiply that by 9.
Okay. Did you put those numbers did you crunch those numbers together and put them on hard copy for us?
I have not done that yet.
See, so that's the problem. If we requested, because I'm hearing that no other council members, and I heard my colleagues say no other council members gave suggestions on making recommendations on, but if we requested you to give us some information and you don't have it today and you only got $150,000 for only 2 workers, you didn't put no numbers together on a hard copy to bring to us in order for us to try to move some money from somewhere to another place to another place. That's my problem. Blight is a big issue for us, some of us in the ward. And if we requested some dollar amount, we want those numbers in hard copy, just like if my colleague requests some money to move some money from the ombudsman's office and deduct and take, we want to see some numbers too. So we'll be able to be like, okay, well, let's move some money out of this department to be able to move here. How much money is in reserve funds?
The reserve fund's approximately $11 million right now.
I would like to make a motion to move 150,000 times 9. 150,000 times 9 deducted out of the reserve funds to put in the blight department. I would like to make a motion.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor.
No, we can't do that. Madam Chair, we're in reconsideration of adding it to the agenda. We haven't even added it yet.
Got it. So, Mr. Murphy, this motion is not always in order, so go ahead and
Okay,
proceed.
well, I'll wait until that time comes.
All right, is that it, Mr. Murphy? All right. Anyone else in the first round?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jarrett.
through you, Madam Chair, to Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, I too am and have been a person in leadership with different measures of authority. You know, I say go, they go. I say come, they come. All right? As the CFO and leader over the financial matters of the city, were these numbers compiled and reconciled at your hand or at your oversight, and other people are more directly
It was
tied?
a team effort. It was a team effort. I did the oversight, but there was a team effort.
Okay, because I also understand as a leader, oftentimes the work isn't done at our two hands, but we work in support and making sure that those that we lead do the work.
Yep.
So that sort of said, it's a couple of things I'm really hopeful that you can help me to understand. One, the numbers that you just shared with us as an update.
Right.
Those numbers, or the numbers that these are replacing, in some way were factored into the budget, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so help me understand for the trash, the trash special assessment, which one of these numbers replaces that $7 million figure that we had in a resolution that we are to follow hereafter? Because that resolution also ties back into the budget, correct?
Correct.
All right, so help me understand how, or which one of these numbers is to replace that $7,271,558?
These are numbers that were prepared as of right after the last meeting. We're trying to get the most up-to-date, most accurate numbers we could get generate. We based it on the number of actual parcels that were assessed times the
So excuse me, this $32,645 that you, on the sheet you just gave us, are the number of actual parcels?
that came from the actual parcels that were assessed.
Okay, so the 33,531 that we were given last week, how did that number change?
Be honest with you, I'm not sure.
Because that also was supposed to represent the number of parcels, right?
That's right, but this was taken from the tax. The numbers on this sheet were taken from the tax roll.
From the what?
The tax roll.
The tax roll.
Right.
Then where did this number come from? The 33,000 that we got last week.
I believe that was estimated by the department, which is different than what the actual tax roll. They may not know what the actual tax roll had. So I try to get it as accurate as I could by looking at the actual tax roll.
Madam Chair,
So, that's your time?
point of
No,
information.
no.
Okay, go ahead.
Point of order.
What's your point?
We're in the discussion for reconsideration, not on the actual budget.
We are.
We need to vote on reconsidering the vote on the budget before we can discuss the details.
You are correct.
So is it that I cannot inquire about the budget that we're looking to reconsider?
So,
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Jarrett.
Okay.
You got 126. Go ahead and finish up.
Oh. Thank you. I'll wait. I'll just say this. You can have a seat, sir, as far, because we can't ask you questions. So go ahead and have your seat. So this morning, I consulted with someone in compliance, and I posed the question, what would your vote be? Would it be to approve a budget that you don't believe is right to meet a deadline, or would you maybe go a little past the deadline and give a budget that to your best effort is the best budget and the balanced budget that can be created? And that's what I sit here now faced with. Do I pass something that I don't believe is right? Or do I do like we did last year, take a little extra time to get it closer to right, and say, again, maybe next year we actually start our budget hearings in April?
All right. Anyone else would like to speak in the first round for reconsideration? Yep, first round. All right, so now we are on the second round for reconsideration. Anyone like to speak in the second round to reconsider Resolution 240222? Seeing that we don't have any
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Mashat.
I'm happy that we do have all of these questions. It goes to show that we need to go ahead and vote yes on this reconsideration so that all of these questions can be answered, so that amendments can be offered. I would urge my colleagues to go ahead and vote yes to reconsider this so that we can go ahead and make amendments so that they can have some time today to make whatever changes they feel would be needed to be made to make the budget a little better. While some of us are newer, we've also all had this in front of us for enough time to at least have the amendments that we would like to make ready, to have the questions. Madam Chair.
Ms. Mashat? Pardon. Excuse me, Ms. Burns? Ms. Burns, you are removed from the meeting, so you shouldn't be in the meeting. Ms. Burns. Well, Ms. Burns, as an audience member, you don't have access to the city attorney. You are serving as an audience member at this time. You don't have access. No. He is our privileged attorney. They don't. Miss City Attorney, so through you, does the audience member, can they come and ask you questions?
No, audience members can't consult with the city attorney. Having said that, I'm happy to take Councilmember Burns out back to discuss the issue that she wants to discuss, if that would prevent that from disrupting the meeting.
But I'm a council member. I'm not a regular audience. I'm elected.
You are, Ms. Burns, like we just stated, you are now in the capacity of an audience member. So, Attorney Kim, please do so. Thank you. Proceed, Councilwoman in the 7th Ward.
So if we could all just vote this through for reconsideration so that we can ask the questions that we have of the finance chair, so that we can get to a point where we are making amendments and getting the budget to a place where everyone is comfortable voting for it. I think that's going to be the best course of action today, is that this needs to move through. I noticed that during this time, because we're literally just on reconsideration, the budget, this hasn't even been moved to where it needs to be moved to for us to even actually talk about the amendments and vote and get through. So we need to get it past reconsideration so that we can vote on this budget. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else like to speak during the second round?
Madam Chair, quickly.
Go ahead, Ms. Priestley.
In response to the comment about beginning the budget process in April, I did try, as I will give you all dates. We received the budget on March 4th. On March 13th, I met with Mr. Moore to discuss about the hearing process and how much time he felt that each department needed. Because people complained about the process last year, I put a discussion item on the April 3rd finance agenda. We lost quorum. That was never discussed. So on April 17th, I put it, it was still on, and we talked. And it became, I said, okay, we're gonna meet. Nobody had any suggestions. So Mr. Moore and I went ahead and scheduled that. And in the process of those 2 weeks, it was verifying that the department heads could attend those budget hearings on the dates that we could schedule them. That's why it took so long to set them up. I'm going to blame council for not being there and keeping quorum so that we could discuss such an important issue. I don't even remember who left to break the quorum. So I want to make it clear that I did try to set our budget hearings to help be held starting in the middle of April. Thank you. And I want to let everybody, I do have to leave at 2:15 to take someone to the doctor, a minor, so I do have to leave.
All right, anyone else in the second round? So seeing that there's no one else to speak in the second round for reconsideration, we will go ahead and we will call for the vote to reconsider the adoption of the budget. So Madam Clerk, roll call. And just for the record, a no is stating that you do not want to reconsider the adoption of the budget, and a yes means that you do. Proceed. We go, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat? Yes. Mr. Pfeiffer is absent. Mr. Jarrett? Yes. Mr. Alleman is absent. Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Priestley?
Yes.
Ms. Winfrey Carter is absent. The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. Resolution 240222 is now a part of the consent agenda and is being reconsidered. All right, so now we will move on to the consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ms.
Make
Priestley.
a motion to approve the consent agenda.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Any support? Supported by the Councilwoman of the 7th Ward. Any separations?
Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. Jarrett.
I request we separate everything. We need to talk about it all.
All right, so we will be separating everything. So there will be no consent agenda. So we
Madam
will-
Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Priestley.
I make a motion to approve 240217, adoption 2025 operating millage rate for the DDA.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to approve resolution 240217. Any support?
Support.
Supported by Councilman in the 3rd Ward. Any discussion? Any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Jarrett.
through you to Mr. Moore, Mr. Moore. This is somewhat of a renewal of the millage from what I can see. Previous
Right,
numbers.
the millage does not change.
Millage does not change. How does the millage truly impact DDA's budget?
The millage, the tax revenue is the main source, one of the main sources of revenue for the DDA. They also have received parking revenue. Those are the two main sources of revenue that they receive. Their tax revenue comes in two different components. The first is the ad valorem, which is what you're considering right here. That's approximately $100,000 a year. The other part is from a TIF, tax increment financing, where they get a tax capture, and that's approximately $1 million a year.
So this 1.8806 mil is going to be reflected in property tax collection or some other way?
Property taxes for the property within the downtown development district.
So only that district
Only
is
that
taxed
district is
this?
affected by that, and the funds that they raise can only be spent in that district.
Okay. So, and that's residents that live in that area?
I'm sure there are residents there, yes.
As well as businesses?
That's correct.
And, okay, so even with this, based on the fact that before us was also a request for funds for DDA, they are short.
They were short, yes.
Okay, so what is their plan to correct their budget?
I haven't seen their FY25 budget yet.
And neither have I. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume that their tax captured revenue has been going up. I assume that's going to solve part of their problems, but I don't know what their plans are or how they plan to use that.
And their budget is not included in this packet, right?
That's correct, because they're a separate legal entity.
Have they submitted their budget to us outside of this?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Because, I mean, you heard how I see this.
No, I understand.
I just, it's approving between the 500,000. I mean, the millage, this sort of is what it is. Yeah. But at the same time, when we don't have even, and I'm not saying we have to change their budget or even be able to have direct input, but when ultimately I'm responsible to fill gaps and I can't question how or why, that's a challenge for me.
Yeah.
That was don't worry about the question. That wasn't a question to you.
All
I
right.
understand, and that I can see by your demeanor. It's a challenge for you too, so you don't have to say it. But that's it's the challenge. This is a difficult situation for me. But I thank you for being willing to step to the podium to field these questions. Thank you.
All right. All right. Anyone else would like to speak in the first round? Go ahead, Ms. Priestley.
Yes, I just want to take time. The
Madam Chair.
DDA millage is basically a pass-through millage. Yes, they have asked for $2 million or from ARPA, or no, excuse me, 500,000. 500,000. I was thinking of the garbage, 2 million. But it is a pass-through dollars, and we need to approve this so that it can go on their tax bills. We need it, by not approving it, postpones our ability to send out property taxes, which affects the financial status of the city. We need to have those property taxes in our hands in order to pay the city's bills. You know, everybody's worried about it, but this is something that we do need to do. So I'm encouraging my colleagues to vote yes for this resolution. Thank you.
All right, anyone else in the first round? All right, anyone else in the second round? All right, so no one else in the second round. We'll go ahead and stand at ease until our colleague returns. All right, so now that our colleague is back, we'll go ahead and we will call for the vote for Resolution 240217, and that is the adoption of the 2024 operating millage rate for the Flint Downtown Development Authority. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Jarrett.
Yes.
Mr. Alleman is absent. Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Ms. Priestley.
Yes.
Ms. Murphy Carter is absent. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat.
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer is absent. The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. That resolution passes. So now we're on to the next resolution, 240218. It's a pleasure of the body.
I move that we.
So I heard colleague in the 7th Ward first. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we pass Resolution 240218. Support.
All right, it has been moved and properly supported by the councilwoman in the 4th Ward. Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Jarrett.
Okay. Mr. Moore, we can talk about your document here. So this is the streetlight assessment, and on the document that you gave us, somewhat of an I'll call it an amendment or an attachment, maybe it's better. $2,823,104.16. Is that the number that otherwise would replace the $2,964,000, the appropriations?
That's correct.
Okay.
This fund actually has a pretty healthy fund balance, so that's, you'll notice that there's a draw on the fund balance for this, but that's because we've been over assessing it in prior years.
And these are proposed budgets. These are approximations, right?
That's right. That's right.
Now, so those numbers, okay, we went back and we adjusted our projection.
Right.
Now, what should be the same though is the number of households.
For
the number of households weren't a projection; those were actual households.
Which one are you talking about between?
For any of these, when we're doing any budgets, are we doing projections with the number of households as well?
The difference, there's a difference between the trash and the street lighting because they're different parcels that are included.
Right. But on the document, on the resolution, it has 55,153. On the attachment that you gave us, it's 39,112.
That 39,112 came from the tax roll.
I'm sorry?
The 39,112 came from the tax roll. That's what we actually assessed out.
again, I'm trying to reconcile in my mind how we would go from saying we have, oh, I see it, the estimated 55,000. And our estimate was it was quite a bit off. Is that what we're saying?
Right. I'm not, I just, when the question was asked last week, I went back and looked at the actual tax roll to find out what the actual numbers were.
Okay. So then what's going to be the actual amount that we assess per parcel?
We're proposing the same amount that we've had in prior years, which I believe is
72,000?
72.
I mean, $72.18?
That's correct.
Okay, so 2008, 23,104. And we said that there were 39,112. I'm sorry. How did we come up with the 39,112?
That came from the tax roll.
From the tax roll?
That's correct.
And how did we come up with the 55,153 that was on the resolution?
I don't know where that number came from, to be honest.
You see, and the problem I have now is I get estimating, but when you estimate and your number is the actual, now we're saying is almost 50% less difference than what the original estimate was. But it just so happens that the new number we got today, when you multiply that times the actual number, does balance out to the $72.18.
I can bring you the tax roll if you like. So.
And that's the same 7218 that when we looked at the number before, that number didn't work. The 2,964,000 divided by the 55,000, it didn't work. Yeah.
Anyone else in the first round? Anyone else in the first round? All right, anyone else in the second round, Mr. Jarrett? Second round? Okay. Well, seeing that we don't have any more in the second round, we'll go ahead and stand at ease. So our colleague in the fourth ward come back so we can call for the vote. All right. All right, colleague in the fourth ward has now returned. So now we have a vote on the floor for resolution 240218, and that is the assessment, the street lighting costs for the fiscal year 2025. Roll call, Madam Clerk, again for resolution 240 for the street light costs for fiscal year 2025.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Priestley?
Yes.
Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
No.
Mr. Jarrett?
No.
The vote is 3 yes, 2 no.
The vote is 3 yes, 2 no. That resolution did not pass. So now what's the pleasure of the body?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
I'd like to move the adoption of the City of Flint fiscal year 2025 budget.
Okay. But since that'll be out of order,
Oh.
so right now we're at 240-219.
Well, how is it out of order when it was number one, when we skipped that one to go to the other ones? Those were out of order.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I'm clear. So looking at the resolution that's the last one, that says 240-222, that's the last one on our budget, on our agenda?
Oh, okay.
Okay, just want to make sure.
But it's also, okay, we did reconsideration.
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
Very well.
I got you.
So we are off to entertain a motion for 240-219, the user fee for the municipal solid waste cost for fiscal year 2025.
I would like to move resolution 240-219, the user fee municipal solid waste costs for fiscal year 2025.
Okay, any support?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
I support, but can we make sure we're talking into our mics?
Okay, so let's make sure that our mics are on.
Yes,
Speaking in the
mine
mic.
is on.
All right, make sure they can hear you. All right, so there has been a motion by Councilman Murphy and it's supported by the Councilwoman in the 7th Ward. Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Priestley, from the first round.
Just really quick. When I gave the dollar amount on last Wednesday, it was just to make sure that we collected enough money to cover the current bill. It apparently is not. I just wanted to clarify that based on the number of households, what that was in the resolution, and the dollar amount that we are being billed. So that's one of the reasons why we got into the trouble. I didn't give a dollar amount. I said it would reduce the amount of money that we would have to take from ARPA. I wasn't giving a specific dollar amount. I didn't know what that number would be until after we collect the money. We don't know. But anyways, I'm not going to make that motion, and I'm going to vote to approve what we've got in the resolution. Thank you.
All right, anyone else want to speak in the first round?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Jarrett.
Mr. As a practice, when determining the this fee to be charged, is there a percentage of margin that we factor in?
In terms, you mean like a profit?
Well, yeah, profit to build reserves or whatever you want. Yes.
There isn't any margin per se, but there is a factor that we use for not collecting everything. Because what happens is we charge people, not everybody pays, the county reimburses us, and then if they haven't paid the county, 3 years later, the county uses a clawback where they take the revenue. So we have to make sure that we budget for that every year.
Okay, so there's, I don't know if I got it. There's some that we factor in a little, but
Right.
then someone adds to it, or how did that go again? I'm sorry.
Okay, when we apply that special assessment to the tax bill, not everybody pays their tax bill. Some of it's turned over to the county.
Mm-hmm.
The county then tries to collect it, and they are successful in collecting most of it, but not all of it.
Mm-hmm.
After 3 years, if they haven't collected it, they will then come back and ask us to make up the difference. How much of what they reimbursed us 3 years ago. So we had to factor that into our budget.
Let me tell you what I think I just heard. When we're unable to collect, and that property gets turned over after the year to the county.
Correct.
The county then, do they give us something at that time or no?
They reimburse us for everything that's on the tax bill at that.
So it's almost like a collection agency. They buy the bad debt.
That's correct.
Okay, but when they can't collect it, they make us buy it back?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. So, wow. But then when they get to sell it, they get to keep that. Okay. Once again, these numbers are different, both sets of numbers, and once again they happen to tie back to the 20256, or very within dollars and cents of that.
The numbers for the trash were current as of last Thursday.
Okay, so I guess this is the thing I'll ask you to help me to identify.
Okay.
Either the 7.2 million or the 6.6 million. Help me understand where it's reflected in the projected budget. Where would I see that number in this packet? Because that's revenue, right?
That's correct.
So our projected revenue just went down, which means we're gonna have to even use more of a fund balance?
That's correct. If we don't
And the reason our budget balances is because we're using fund balance, right?
we've recommended using some ARPA funds for that as opposed to raising the fee.
Okay. And next year is next year our last year? Is this our last year to be able to do that?
Yes, sir.
So
Then after that, we'll have to start looking at the fee.
And you and the rest of the administrative team already are developing strategic plans in accordance?
We're aware that this is coming up.
Aware in?
We don't have many options for that.
All right. Is there some place where I should be able to see that, one of those numbers here?
I believe so. It's hard to speak and find the page number at the same time.
Yeah, that's, okay, that's my time. That's my time.
All right, anyone else?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Murphy.
So, the opera dollars will cover the waste collection for this past year and this coming year.
That's correct.
So that is keep us safe from not asking for an increase, and passing this today will help us get us through the next year.
That's correct.
Once within the next year, we'll be able to look at what that cost looked like as far as the increase in the ads for the residents when it comes down to
That's correct.
the garbage. And we here now.
Right.
Oh, thank you. That's all I have.
Anyone else in the first round? All right, seeing no one else. Anyone else in the second round?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jarrett?
Councilman in the third ward, I hear your line of questioning, and it makes sense to me. Right now, Mr. Moore, you can have a seat. I'm sort of just talking out loud. Because it's not necessarily fair of me to expect for you to speak on behalf of all of your peers, just like it's not necessarily fair for me to expect that, or to be the one who speaks for my peers or think that they can speak for me. What I will say is, yes, we are here. What I want to be able to feel comfortable with as a councilman representing those residents of the Ninth Ward is to be able to say that I know, not I guess, I hope, I think, but I know that we are thinking beyond being here, and that we are actively doing all that we can in our different and vast fiduciary capacities to ensure that we are meeting what is needed right here, as well as looking forward, as we sometimes say, moving the city forward. And I'll say this and then I'll stop, because to me, moving the city forward is not just about moving the institution of the city of Flint forward, but moving the residents of the city of Flint forward. And again, go ahead, have a seat, please. I don't want to feel like you standing there taking the brunt of my talking out loud. So please have a seat. You're fine. I really want to know that for those of us that are in leadership, that we're doing just that we are leading, doing best we can to ensure that we all move forward together and that none are lost, especially those that depend on us and the least of them.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Priestley.
You know, I've had discussions about the garbage rates since the last budget hearing, and there's no will to raise the garbage rates. I have been in discussions, can we lower it can we get a better inventory of occupied homes so that we can possibly reduce our costs? I know that I have reviewed and spoken to several other municipalities about their garbage rates, and ours seems to be, and I voted to extend the contract after I reviewed others and discovered that our price, what we're getting, is the going rate. I think to be fiscally responsible, we do need to increase the garbage rate, but the will isn't there from either the mayor or the council to raise it. So that means we have to use the ARPA money to balance it. Some of these things are going to have to be done. I don't like increased taxes. I don't like paying them. I've got a neighbor who came across the street last year and screamed at me, "You raised my taxes," when we hadn't changed anything. And I had to explain that we didn't, and that is probably because his taxable value on his house went up, because housing prices are going up. But the will isn't there. And so I think we should just vote to get that in, because I am going to have to break quorum in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Ms. Mashat.
I make a motion that we recess until tomorrow at noon.
All right, there's a motion to recess until tomorrow. Any support?
Support.
All right, motion has been made and properly supported by Ms. Priestley. We will go ahead and go straight to the vote because it's a motion of time. I just want to make sure that I am in order with that. So, Madam Clerk, do we debate?
I'm sorry, was it for a set time?
Right, for a motion to adjournment to tomorrow.
Until tomorrow at noon.
Tomorrow at noon?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So being that whenever we make a motion to adjourn, we go straight to the vote. We'll go ahead and go straight to the vote, make a motion to adjourn to tomorrow. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
I have to go. I've been trying to move it.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Priestley?
Yes.
Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett?
I abstain. I'm not in a position to come back tomorrow at noon.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Vote is 4 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention.
No, it is 4 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention. That motion failed. So the chair will order an adjournment until tomorrow without objection.
I object.
Oh. Okay. No, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you object?
I object.
Okay, so we have that's fine. I understand. Right. So therefore, the quorum is broken, and so we will. So we will order a recess without objection. The chair order a recess without objection.
Ordering a recess
Yeah.
without objection?
Yes, right now.